Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents at BookEnds who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. We are actually answering a viewer question today, probably one of the most frequent viewer questions that we've ever received, ever.
And we're going to try to do more of these. So put your questions in the comments and we will pick them up throughout the course of the year.
Correct. Okay, so the biggest question I think that we received, no joke, is can I query my self-published book?
Yeah, you know, my answer is you can, but
and, you know, there are always variations of it too. Like it was on Amazon, now it's not on Amazon, or I took it down and it's not self-published, or it didn't sell well and it did sell well.
I'm terrible at marketing, so I wasn't able to tell anybody about it, which is like,
right.
That's the way you teach yourself.
My favorite part is every variation of the whole self-publishing journey, now trying to code traditional, gets the same answer. You can, but we're not entirely sure it's your best foot forward. So Jessica actually just answered this question, I think, to another agent at BookEnds in like a really great way. So I'm going to put the onus on her for now. Repeat what you said.
Well, so when self-publishing became really big about 10, 15 years ago, when Amazon Kindle was introduced and you could bring your book straight to Amazon, it became instantly huge in the romance world. Romance authors who tend to be very prolific jumped all over it to massive success, because as prolific as the authors are, so are the readers. They will just buy book after book after book. And self-publishing was a great platform for them because they could get these books for 99 cents or $1.99. They could load up the Kindle. And the authors were seeing huge success and returns, you know, some of them making well beyond what they could even fathom in traditional publishing. So the publishers started to get on board, you know, they were like, how do we get a piece of this? And also, I think, well, I know there was a lot of panic at the time with agents and publishers thinking, holy crap, are we going to lose everybody to this? And what are we going to do? That did not happen. But what did happen is the publishers were trying to see sort of what their role could be in this. And in some instances went and picked up the self-published books and republished them. Now, 50 Shades of Grey was one of those books, and obviously
Martian, I think.
Martian was one, and those books got movie deals, became huge successes, and did well for the publishers. They are big exceptions to what really happened. A lot of the other authors.
What? The most recent one, which is all over the place, is Ice Planet Barbarians, I think.
Yeah.
I think Berkeley picked it up and is repackaging.
When we'll see how it does.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the books actually did not pick up an audience. The audience really liked those low prices. They were reading on their e-readers, and they were not interested in the print books that the publisher was putting out. And in all cases, in all of these cases with these success, these books were selling tens of thousands of copies. They weren't selling a couple hundred, they were selling a lot. So when the publisher picked them up, they saw this potential for them. But I think what we've learned is it doesn't always work. And publishers, unless you really have built this whole thing, don't want to see a self-published book because you've already tapped into your market. You've already sold the book. You've already sold it to all the people who buy the book from you. And if you're having that kind of success, you wouldn't have pulled it off the market and are now trying to find a publisher, is sort of the way it goes. If you're having that kind of success, the publisher is going to hear about it and hunt you down, is sort of the way it goes, to be honest. I am not interested in most self-published books. Now, there may be the occasional business book or nonfiction where the author has been literally selling it out of the back of their car, or, you know, at events, and they're selling all of these books, but they don't want to do that anymore. They want a publisher to handle. That might be something, but again, you've got to be selling thousands a month for that.
And the platform has to be there too, that it can, in like some really tricky way, be, you know, reliable, but also more can be tapped into.
Right, because in that case, maybe you're selling workshops and you're selling thousands a month, but there's a whole market you're not hitting at a bookstore that you could hit. If you want to self-publish your book, if you want to try it out, go for it. I encourage it. Embrace your self-publishing decision. Don't assume that I'm going to test it out and then go find a publisher. It's really one or the other is the best way. Pretty universally, I reject books that were self-published. It's an uphill climb with the publisher, but also what you've put out there is now a final. So if I read it or the publisher reads it, it's hard for us to go back and edit something that you've already put out there as a final copy. My suggestion is, if you're having success in self-publishing, or even if you're not, we want to build a career with you. So the other downside is, if you're self-publishing and now you're trying to sell it to us, I think, well, how can I build a career of somebody who's been spending the last 2 or 3 years on one book? What I want to know is, what's your next book? You know, you can keep that book self-published and successfully go to a traditional publisher with your next book. Your self-published book is not necessarily going to hurt that.
Yeah.
So do that. Build a career.
Right. I mean, like we talked to every querying author or author who is solely geared on traditional publishing, it's really always about the next book once you've got that one book done. So if you're self-publishing one book and you decide to change it, it's about the next book.
Yep. And not the next book in a series. Don't self-publish the first book of the series and decide now you want to move the series. You really can't do that. You also, unless you hit a certain level of success, you can't take your series from one publisher to the next publisher with your second book. It just doesn't work that way. So if you started a series in self-publishing, keep working on that series in self-publishing, get your new series to an agent or a publisher if that's where you want to go. Correct.
So bottom line, you can create a self-published book, but you will have better success with a new book, and we suggest that.
Simple.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we hope to see you back here next time.
Bye.